Namaskar, Jai Hind. In this video lecture, I am going to discuss about management, and under this, I am going to discuss the scientific management. So, as the name suggests, that how scientifically the management system can be done in the organization. So, here I am going to discuss about Mr. Taylor, the Winslow Taylor, and he is also known as the father of scientific management, and he was a machinist, and he worked in the different organizations like Midway Steel, Siemens Rolling Machines, and Bethlehem Steel. And during his 26 years career, he contributed a lot in the management, and his work is classified under the scientific management. So the area he focused on the time and motion study. As I told you that he himself was a machinist. So he tried to understand how the work can be performed. That means as standardization can be done. So he tries to find out the best way of performing a particular job. The problem he identified, that what implies were doing, that they were paid on the basis of piecework. So they were thinking that if you are increasing the production, the piece rate is going to be reduced by the management. So they were not increasing the production. So that was the problem the management were facing. So what he did, that he tried to find the ways that how a job can be performed in the best manner by using the time and motion study. So the earlier what was happening, that the work was assigned to the worker, and he should find out the ways how the best way can be done. But now with this study, now the workers can be told or trained that this way you should perform the job, so that the work can be done in the minimum time. So that is how the production can be improved. Another area he focused, the differential payment. So under this plan, a worker received low piece rate if he produced standard number of pieces. That means by using the study, time and motion study, the best way was known, and how much time a particular job should take, that also being calculated. So based on that, a standard number of pieces was devised, and based on the differential payment was also made. That means if a worker received low piece rate if he produced the standard number of pieces, and high rate if he surpassed the standard. So Taylor thought that the attraction of high piece rate would motivate workers to increase the production. That means if they are more paid if they have surpassed the standard unit, then they are going to get the more payment. He also drastically reorganization of supervision. Taylor suggested two new concepts: separation of planning and doing, functional foremanship. So in those days, it used to customary for each worker to plan his own work. The worker himself used to select his tools and decide the order in which the operations were to be performed. The foreman simply told the worker what jobs to perform, not how to do them. Taylor suggested that the work should be planned by a foreman and not by the worker. Further, he said that there should be as many as foremen as there are special functions involved in doing a job, and each of these foremen should orders to the workers in his specialty. That means you can understand here that the number of foremen, that means the number of supervisions have been increased, because for each functional area there were different foremen. So that is what he suggested. Another the area of work, his area of work was scientific recruitment and training. He emphasized the need for scientific selection and development of the worker. He said that the management should develop and train every worker to bring out his best faculties and to enable him to do a higher, more interesting, and more profitable class of work than he has done in the past. So that means he focused on the training. And best way of recruitment, that means finding the best man, and the training should be provided so that the performance of the worker and in turn the organization can be improved. He also focused on intimate. That means he thought that the management and the worker, they are working for a common goal, that is production. If the production is being improved, the organization is also going to get benefit. That means the management and the worker is also going to get the benefit out of it. So he suggested that the cooperation should be there between the management and workers. They should not have any conflict, because the conflict is going to reduce the production. Taylor's concept of scientific management developed into a movement, and there are some other authors. They also tried to work on this, and the Gant and the Gilberts were the main contributors in that. Gant insisted that willingness to use correct methods and skills in performing a task as important as knowing the methods and having the skills in the first place. So he identified a very good point here, that if the worker knows how the best way can be done, but the willingness is also very important. So that means the human being aspect he tried to add in that. He saw the importance of the human element in the productivity. That means humans should not be treated as a machine. That willingness is also very important. So here the concept of motivation arises here. He introduced two new features in Taylor's incentive schemes, which was found to have too little motivational impact, because the Taylor was basically focusing on only the compensation part. That means if you are able to increase the piece rate, so your payment is going to increase or the compensation is going to increase. But here he introduced, first every worker who finished a day assigned workload was to win a 50% bonus for that particular day. So even if you are able to achieve the standard one, you are going to gain a 50% bonus. Second, here the foreman's motivation is also being increased here. Second, the foreman too was to earn a bonus for each worker who reached the daily standard. Apart from this, plus an extra bonus if all the workers reached it. That means the foreman is also having responsibility to motivate the worker for their performance. This Gantt region would spur a foreman to train his workers to do a better job. So Gantt also developed the idea of rating an employee's work publicly. Every worker's progress was recorded and individual bar charts linked in black on days or she completed the work. He or she completed the standard and red on days he or she fell below. Going beyond this, Gantt originated a charting system for production and control that is still being used. It reflects each man's daily performance in relation to a predetermined quota or standard of performance. So Frank and Lilal Gilbert made their contribution to the scientific management movement as a husband and wife team. They made motion and fatigue study. Their life work using motion pictures, cameras. Frank Gilbert tried to find the most economical motions for bricklaying. He classified all movements implied in industrial work into 17 basic types called thumblings and provided a shorthand symbol for each so that the analyst could easily and quickly jot down each motion as he observed the worker in action. So you know that the shorthand is still being used. So, contribution and limitations of scientific management. First, the time motion studies have made us aware that the tools and physical movements involved in tasks can be made more efficient and rational. Second, the stress which scientific management placed on scientific selection of workers has made us recognize that without ability and training, a person cannot be expected to do his job properly. So you must be knowing that the most of the respected organizations of the world, they used to focus on the training and development of the worker. Finally, the importance that scientific management gave to work design has encouraged managers to seek that one best way of doing job. That means the standardization of the work they understood. Both blue collar production jobs and white collar office and service jobs have become specialized. Okay, the Taylor scientific management approach has evolved into what is now generally called job engineering. So the it is also very important nowadays about the job engineering and all. Criticism of scientific management. Taylor scientific management emphasizes the management of only muscular tasks at the floor level and the neglects the areas of problem solving and decision making. So there are new concepts have come. They are focusing on that one. This has made Marth and Simon describe scientific management as physiological organization theory. Taylor's belief that economic incentives are strong enough to motivate workers for increased production is wrong. No man is entirely an economic man. That also we must remember. That is, a man's behavior is not always dictated by his financial needs. So let me tell you that the equation cannot be made here. That is what my point it is. He has many other needs also, such as security needs, as proposed by the Maslow theory of motivation, social needs, which motivate him far more potentially than his desire for money, at least after he has risen above the starvation level. So we will be discussing in detail about the motivational theory as well. Taylor's time and machine study is not entirely scientific. This is because two time studies done by two separate individuals, many times the same job entirely differently. So that was also point brought by the other contributors. Separation of planning and doing and the greater specialization inherent in the system tend to reduce the need for skill and produce greater monotony of work. Having a man take orders from 7 to 8 different bosses results in confusion besides increasing the overhead cost. That is what I was trying to point out, that the tailor suggested for each functional area there should be a different foreman, and he is trying to guide the worker. But if a worker is getting the directions from 7 to 8 persons or 7 to 8 foremen, definitely he is going to be confused. So Taylor's scientific management could not develop rapidly because of the following factors. Advances in methods and better tools and machines eliminated some workers who found it difficult to get other jobs. This caused resentment among them. Taylor had difficulty in persuading his followers to understand his ideas or carry them on. In the 1920s and 30s, efficiency experts training in the methods of Taylor, Gilbert, and others were often held in contempt because of their alleged treatment of human beings as automations without attention to their needs and attitudes. So that part also being criticized because the human being cannot be treated as machine. So this point is also the very important point, that human being is other requirement cannot be treated as a machine. So thank you so much. In this, I have already uploaded one article as well, so you can go through that. Thank you so much.